Hi, welcome to Around the Ladder. I'm Erika Steinberg. One of the ideas, or perhaps the central idea behind this podcast, is that not everyone's career follows the same path. For some people, the ladder is very clear: promotions, titles, the next rung up. And at some point, they may make a conscious decision to step off. Exhibit A. But for other people, the ladder never really existed in the first place. And instead of climbing, they end up building something entirely different. My guest today, Caitlin Harrison, falls into that category. Caitlin is a web designer who specializes in helping solo and small law firms build websites that actually reflect who they are and help them connect with the clients that they want to serve. Before starting her own company in 2020, Caitlin spent years working in small print publications where career progression didn't follow the traditional corporate model. As she put it to me when we first met, she never really felt like she had access to a ladder at all. So, Caitlin, first, thank you for being here. I'm so glad that we're finally doing this.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited for this conversation.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to talking with you about your path, which is so different from mine, of course. And I remember when we first spoke that it seemed for you starting your own business felt less like a leap and more like a very natural next step. So let's start with what I mentioned in the intro, which is, what does around the ladder mean to you personally?
Yeah, for me, it almost feels a little bit like a mystery, right? So I graduated college and I went right into working at a couple really small design companies within the like central Connecticut area. Worked my way down the coast, into the Fairfield, Westchester County, and worked at a newspaper and a magazine. And so for there, the production and design team was only three people. There was nowhere there to go. And then when we moved from New York to North Carolina, it was a one woman design department. There was a one editor of the publisher, sales, each person was their own, some contractors here and there, but for design and for production, it was just me. So, I've always sort of had like a mystery of where I've got friends and family that have worked in big companies that, there's the annual like, plans and promotions and there's like a whole like plan put in place when you get hired of where you could go in this position. And that just was not really so for me, still at over 20 years in the working world, I still feel like it's a mystery of how any
And
of that works.
when you were describing it, I was thinking back to my own experience at that early stage, like getting out of college and then finally like finding the career path that I really liked. And I was fortunate. I found it pretty early on in my mid 20s maybe.
Mhm.
But when you were describing that, I remember that feeling of like no, seeing that path laid out in front of me. It was a very clear roadmap.
Yeah, I've never
And I
had that.
and I can't imagine having worked in a way and not had that.
Yeah, and for me, I can't imagine it the other way. It was always, and what I love about design in general is how much you can do very different things, right? So I started with just regular print graphic design, then I went into print publications, and then when, we'll get there, but when I quit my job and started this business, I really dove into the digital, the website, the digital marketing, your online footprint. And, at the same time, my husband and I met in college studying the same thing, and he's been in advertising. And so he's been shooting commercials and doing things like that in his whole career. So we say what I love about design is you can take one set of skills and it can go anywhere.
Mhm.
And therefore the path is not clear because there's just so
There's
many
so
different
many
options.
options.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a very much choose your own adventure thing.
Yes. Yes. And you could change your adventure tomorrow.
Very true. So let's talk about when you started your own business. So I know that you left your job, you started your own business. It was October of 2020, right in the worst part of the pandemic in this
Yep.
country. What on earth was happening in your head at that moment?
I was feeling
I mean, I was day drinking with all of
Yeah,
my friends.
I
So.
was feeling very trapped. There was a lot happening. My son, who's now in first grade, was around one at the time, one and a half. And so there was such a pull of, you know, what he needs in general as a mom. I think even without the pandemic, this is potentially something I would have been thinking of in general, of that balance of working 40 plus hours a week and keeping a house running. So there was just a lot kind of going through my head. And 5 years before, so the year before we moved to North Carolina, I had freelanced around New York City. So I kind of knew that there was people that need stuff. on a project basis that maybe I didn't have to go the route of finding another full-time job because I knew I wanted to change. Like I had been at the magazine for 5 years. I loved it. I started it and got it up and running and it was flourishing and all those things, but I've been doing it for 5 years. And there was that growing pain. So it was like the pandemic was that perfect storm of chaos that made me be like, wait, what if I want to do something totally different? And so I didn't really have a plan other than right now it's really unstable and people aren't necessarily hiring graphic like positions.
Very true.
So I was like, well, what if I just quit my job? And so I had some web WordPress design knowledge, WordPress management knowledge, and that summer I taught myself the missing pieces that I needed to be able to offer it as a service for online and service providers. So it was a little bit of a scary leap, but it was just sort of like pro con list. I always sort of say like I'm a master of a pro con list, and the pros of kind of taking the risk really outweighed any of the like staying in that comfortable zone that I knew.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember when I told my husband that I was going to leave my job that I had at the time, and I didn't even start my business until about a year and a half later. We were just moving, you know the
Mhm.
area, so we're moving from being in the middle of the city to about an hour north of the city. And I said, I
Yep.
can't do this job and commute at 2.5 to 3 hours of commuting to my day. And our kids were in the beginning of elementary school. I already felt like I never saw them. And I said to him, I'm going to have to leave my job. And he had to literally pick himself up off the floor. So, I don't know, what was it like in your house when you said, I think I'm going to quit my job?
I mean, I always say my husband has been such a huge supporter of the whole thing. Again, part of that pro con list was we're blessed with the dual incomes, and so there was not quite as much risk. And I also am the daughter of my dad was in real estate my whole life, so he's now been on two or three jobs. I think he's a serial entrepreneur. My sister became a real estate agent, so I'm a family of entrepreneurs as well. So that the idea wasn't quite as foreign. Like I said, if anything, the latter is more foreign than the idea of like just go figure it out and find some people
Yeah.
to pay you for your
I think that's
services.
that's a really good point because I come from a family where, for the most part, where you have your job. You have your job, you stay at a company, you stay there, you have your paycheck. And my husband comes from a family, his father was an entrepreneur. So
Mhm.
he had more exposure to that. I had none. But that's
So
a
you
really good
really took a
point.
leap.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, so for you, did it feel like a leap? Did it feel inevitable, or an inevitable leap?
I think it was probably an inevitable leap. I think that there was so many factors
Like you were always
around.
going to do this. I can't imagine you not being an
I
entrepreneur
never,
knowing you
it's
also.
funny, I never thought about it until it was sort of feeling like my time at the magazine was coming to a close and what did that mean next? And the idea of job hunting felt like the worst idea on the planet. And I was like, I could either spend my time filling out all of these applications, again, in October of 2020 when no
Yeah.
one
Oh,
knew, you know what I mean? It was so unstable. I was like, or I had found the world of online business owners already and all these people that were making good, if not insane money. There's a sliding scale, right? There's people that make no money online, and there's people that can run an online business and be very successful. I was like, it did not, it felt scary, right? But at the same time, I was excited. But I always say I sort of quit my job without a plan. And the last 5+ years has been an evolution of where I'm at today.
yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. So let's turn a little bit because I want to go back to something that you shared with me when we first spoke. It was really interesting. You said that, and I mentioned it, that you felt like you never really had access to the ladder. Now, are you creating your own ladder? Are like, do you have a plan in mind? Do you see more of a roadmap in front of you?
I I I see a lot of clarity in the last 3 to 6 months where I really decided to niche down. And so like really with the offer that I've created that is specifically for solo and small law firms,
Hmm.
that's giving me so much clarity on how to stop reinventing the wheel in the back end of my business
Yeah.
and how to bring on some team members. But in terms of like a ladder, it's funny. I guess I'm at the top of the ladder, but there is,
Yeah.
it's my business and it's me. But I don't know. I don't know if I have a clear path. I feel very excited about this path that I've found and the clarity around it. Like it's helping me figure out who to talk to and who to meet, like people like you,
Yeah.
and what to say when I'm talking about myself. So that's been like literally 5 years of just kind of figuring it out, networking, again, evolving. Like I had worked with a lot of different types of service providers, and then what was the common thread there, and kind of so it in not necessarily a ladder, but definitely a path. I see a very clear path now that I didn't
Yeah.
when I first got started.
Yeah, like for me, I see where I want my business to go. And of course we met because you're in the law firm world, I'm still in the law
Hmm.
firm world. So I see a very clear path of where I want my business to go. So it's more of a, I get that now. Yeah, like it's more of a vision
Yeah,
than a roadmap. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of both, but yeah, we
right,
keep working toward
right.
that.
It's not necessarily up. It's like straightforward without so many like bushes and rocks in the
Yes,
way.
exactly. Exactly. And sometimes, do you get crazy sometimes where you could see, like, this is where I want to be, this is where I
Yes,
see the business going, and I'm not quite there yet. I just want
yes.
to get there.
Yes, and I always say it's like I have all of these things that I have mapped out and excited to build that supplement the offer and the people, but then the existing client work comes up. So I'm always like the cobbler's child, like my website. I have testimonials to add, I have this to add, I have
Yeah.
pages. My website's always the last one to get updated because, the clients come first, which is amazing, but that's where it's like that's where the vision's now clear, and I'm just kind of keep clearing the path to keep building
Yeah.
all the things to really take this all to the next level.
Yeah. So I do want to talk about the work that you do because we're both in that law firm world, which I love. It's been my entire career. And you're working with small firms and with solo practitioners, and so many of them, I mean, I think also, and it's not just the small firms, it's any firm really, they struggle with marketing, they struggle with their website. And that's often the first marketing step for a new law firm.
Yep.
Like you're
Mhm.
going out on your own or you're getting together with somebody and starting a firm. That's really one of the things that you have to do first. In your experience, what do lawyers often misunderstand about building a website?
I think there's a couple different things. There's always how much time is it going to take, and you know how much do I need to do? And so there's people that have worked with other web designers before, and they were unaware before going in how much they were either going to have to write or create or whatever. And then I always think from a usability standpoint, I think that lawyers, this is a broad thing,
Yep.
but they're so used to their phones and their calling and things like that they just assume that people are just going to call that if they put a number up on the top right hand corner, if they put a 1-800 number, people are just going to pick up the phone and call. And that's not necessarily how everyone works. And so I've created a system that everything leads to getting on a call, but that call is usually with a booking calendar. There could be a phone number if they want, or a contact form if they're not like to have the multiple ways that different generations, different types of people want to engage with getting a lawyer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know for myself, if I can do it online without actually calling someone, like
Yeah.
restaurant reservations or
Yep.
outreach, I'm shocked. I do have my phone number on my website, and recently a prospective client called me, and I almost fell off my chair. And then we were playing phone tag, but I was just like, oh my goodness, I got an actual phone call.
Yeah.
Usually
I,
it's an email. So
I'm a big fan of the calendar, the call calendar. I think that that's a super way to avoid the phone tag. Even if you open up one day a week for a 15-minute call, if I'm the user, I know that you're available to talk to me then.
yes,
Versus if I pick up the phone and try and call you, well, what if you're in a meeting? What if it's after hours for you or so, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like so for me it sounds so simple, but it's just such an easy way to make that connection really quick and then nurturing it, right? So
yeah,
having stuff on your website that shows that know, like, and trust factor. If they're not quite ready, give them a free resource gift that they pay you with their email so you can nurture them that way and continue to invite them on a call. I just think there's so many things that are left of those like real simple, like not overly complicated marketing basics for your website that a lot of law firm sites don't
yeah.
do. That would be a really easy implementation.
Yeah, and you mentioned trust, know, like and trust, but trust is one that of course always catches my attention. What does a website actually need to do to generate that trust for a law firm? Like how can it do that?
I think there's like, from the design perspective, there is a lot of subtleties of keeping it simple. Don't have so many flashing things. Don't have so many tabs at the top. Like literally we're trying to get everyone on, like if you are looking for a lawyer, I want to get on a call with you because that's really where you get your no lecture. So simple design, white space is one of my favorite things. Like it's almost like a talent and a skill set to under design and let it breathe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that over design to like make it worth the value that you've paid your designer, and that's not necessarily true. Like there's like an art to keeping it where it's super easy to tell what type of law you practice, who you are. Like I want to see your face, right?
Yeah.
And then that's super like every page in my design leads to booking a call.
Yeah.
So it's that idea of like even if you end up on a practice area page and you're reading about specifically a certain practice area, there's calls to action that is that same call to action of let's get on a call. Like, are you ready? Do you have questions? Like, take 15 minutes and come have a conversation with me.
Yeah. And are most of your clients, like I would imagine with smaller firms, there are more firms out there that are B2C firms. So they're trying
Yes.
to
Yep.
build a really direct connection with
Yes.
their clients because
Yep. So like,
it's not like
yep.
company to company, it is individual to individual. So they have to show that they can build a relationship with somebody also.
Yes, yes. And a lot of that is again that subtlety of keeping the design and the content super clean, not too long. Like again, there's all these things that I walk my clients through of like how can we say it in as few words as possible because again, not to get too designed, but you got the people that want to read every single word and you want people that are skimmers. And there's three different types of people that you have to design for. And I've designed for that, with the firmly offer that I have.
Do you mean like the way they learn or the way they
The
just
way they read, the way
the
that
way they
people
read
read
it?
websites, there's somebody who's like going to read every single word. There's gonna be people that only want the headlines, and then I'm forgetting the third one. Somewhere in the between where like they're gonna
Like
like
just random
stop.
words that they pick up.
Yeah, yeah. It's
How
whatever
on
like
earth do
catches
you
their eye. Yeah.
decide? How on earth can you predict like which words they're going to pick up? I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to think about that. So here you've built this business, and that's not the only part of your business, though, right?
This is the main one that I'm focusing on, but yes, I also do branding design and care plans. So after your website's built, I'm happy to be in your back pocket. I also give you the resources so that you're not like beholden to me. But if you want to never have to look at the crazy back end of your WordPress site, I've got you.
Yeah, yeah. That's really, yeah, that's good because I know that, I mean, that's how I am with my site and I just, hand it off to somebody else and I'm just like,
Exactly.
this is, but and it's a really important, I think about that from my perspective. It's a really important relationship because I'm trying to describe to the person who is going to bring it to life, like, this is what I want to do. This is how I want people to feel. This is what I want to show and what I want to demonstrate. And then you have to listen to all of that
Mhm.
and make it come to life.
Yeah. Yep.
And so that's also, that's also, I think ever since I started my business, I've been really struck by the relationships that I built. And like, we talked about networking and how, when you start your business, like I didn't even know what networking was. Someone said, "Where are you networking?" And I was like, "What do you mean? What on earth is that?"
Yeah.
And I had to do the same. Like I had to get comfortable talking about myself, talking about my business, talking about what I do, getting to know people. And one of the things that really struck me is like how much trust and building relationships when you're a small business owner and you're connecting with clients and other business owners and people who who you can work with to help bring different aspects of your business to life. That really caught me by surprise, like just all
Yeah.
of this, all of the relationships, all of this time and the friends that I've made along the way.
hmm Yes, and I think that that's one of the things that probably unknowingly having an entrepreneurial father, he always had like a morning leads group that he always went to through my whole childhood. So he would get up super early and he'd be out and he went to like, and as a kid, I didn't know what that meant. But as I was making my transition of quitting, I was like, oh, well, I'll just join the Chamber of Commerce here in Raleigh. And I did that first, and then I found all the online networking as well. But like I had that intrinsic knowledge that like there's a networking aspect to this. And I think being in publications too also kind of helped where it's like I was friends with the reporters that had to go out and make the connection. So like I sort of knew that that's how you get a story, that's how you get ad sales, things like that. So, even though I was in my design my design department in such a
Yeah.
small company, you see how the rest of the business is run. So that was where it was like, yeah, networking, talking about myself, that has taken me a little while.
Yeah. And how are you feeling about that now? Because when
I
you and
feel
I
better.
met, you were just like, it just rolled.
I think it's yeah, I think that's it's getting easier and easier and the more you do it, but also back to the idea of when I decided to do this, now 5 years later, I can't imagine ever not doing this. So
Yeah.
this all feels really natural. Like doing these kind of things. I love doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Now, I mean, my networking at first for me was kind of painful.
Hmm.
And then I got to really enjoy it, and enjoy the connections. And now it feels like the most natural thing in the world.
Yep.
And people will say to me, sometimes people will say to me, like, how on earth is it that you can be, friends with somebody or friendly with somebody or feel like you know them so well and you've never actually met in person? I mean, I have a couple of clients that I haven't met in person.
Yeah.
I like to do that now, but I still have a couple of clients where we haven't actually met in person. There hasn't been, they're not in the New York area, and we're able to get everything done that we need to get done. Um,
Yep.
and even if they are in the New York area, like they're just, the nature of the work is that, they're spread out all over the place.
Hmm.
And my team is spread out all over the place. So it's been, the way those relationships form has been kind of interesting. That's always been interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think, yeah, most of my clients I have not met in person.
So, yeah. So
And it
funny.
doesn't feel weird anymore, which is one of the highlights of 2020 is this whole world open up. And I know that this world existed. I've met some online business owners who were around before and that they had Zoom
Same.
accounts before 2020. And it's that this was like a world that not like a lot of people didn't know, and now it's forever changed the landscape of how people do business.
Yeah, I remember meeting a few people along the way, some kind of recently, that said, I've been working remotely and, in this way for 15 years now. This is not
Hmm.
new. And I was like, you know, wow.
Yeah.
Said everybody else has just discovered it, but for us, yeah, it hasn't been that. So, okay. Now, let me bring it back to my whole around the ladder concept.
Hmm.
Do you think you've really built your own ladder or your own roadmap? How does success look different now that you've done that? Like, how are you defining success for yourself?
I define success for myself a lot more in the freedoms that I have to go. We've got a field trip coming up in a couple weeks that I get to go chaperone that. So that's like personal success is like that we can kind of work from anywhere. So he's got spring break. We're going to work from the beach, like things like that. And then success for my clients is that idea that the reason I love working with solo and small law firms is they are small business, super small, like micro business owners like myself. So
Yeah.
if I can help them at a reasonable rate that works for them and works for me, that makes me happy that they're not, I've had clients where they've come with the like cookie cutter one pager website that someone gave them and they just know it doesn't represent them. And if I can turn that around for them and take care of all of the like questions of what do I need and all that, like that's awesome. And like I've got clients that have been with me since 2020, 2021 that like they stay on my care plan, they call me up when they need something changed to their website, but like they've got me in their back pocket and they love that. And so that's success for me too, is that if you want someone who's like in your corner to like handle the tech stuff that you don't want to think about, that's me. And I can also, like I said, the branding and some print design stuff, I have those skills, and so that comes in handy too for when you need those extra pieces outside of the digital footprint. But yeah, just that way to have these partnerships with people.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Most of my clients are larger law firms, but I do have a couple that are smaller businesses. And so sometimes when I talk to the founder of the firm, we're talking business owner to business owner, and it's a
Right.
different sort of relationship. It is, yeah. So you have that all the time. That's really cool.
Yes.
Okay, last question. Do you think you avoided the pressure of climbing a ladder, or do you ever feel like you missed out on something? I suspect the answer, but I'll let you go ahead.
Um, I think overall I avoided the pressure. There are some times that I wonder what it would have been like, But again, it feels like such a foreign concept to me. And like when I hear my friends talk about those kind of that sort of corporate structure, it like hurts my brain. So I think that I'm a creative, right? Like I loved art all through like grade school and high school and then studied graphic design. So like that creative, like not wanting to fit into that box. So I think I avoided the pressure. Um, but yeah, every once in a while there's like, what would it be like if I had been XYZ? But you know,
That's
here we
so
are.
funny. Every now and then, I mean, I started my business just 7 years ago after, 20, more than 25 years in house. And so sometimes I wonder, like, oh, I wonder what would have happened if I had started this sooner. It took me probably 3 years in. All of a sudden I was like, wait a second, I actually am an entrepreneur. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it. I was coming up with all these different ideas. I was like, this is really me. So sometimes I wonder the opposite of what you wondered, like what would it have been like if I had done this sooner? Um, but then I feel like, you know what, I did it at exactly the right time. It all unrolled.
I've wondered that too. But I think for me, it was all that timing, right? Like I had my son in 2019. I'd had that stability of the local job here to establish my roots in a new city. And so, but I've wondered that too. It's like I could have been doing this kind of thought experiment, thinking of new offers, thinking of new things, but I don't think I would have been ready for it. I think that everything had to kind of happen in that order. But similarly, yeah, about a year or two ago, finally, I felt like, oh, I am like I can call myself an entrepreneur confidently versus like I never really called myself a freelancer, but I was, that term gets thrown around. But it was like now it's like, oh, I've like really taken the reins on this thing.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm so glad that you did. And thank you so much for spending the time with me. Before we go, just
Thank
let
you.
everybody know like where we can find you, and what your website is and how people can connect with you.
Yeah, so my website is Firmly Studio, so FIRMLY studio.com. And then I'll be on LinkedIn. I'm not sure. I am on Instagram, but not a ton. So LinkedIn is probably one of the best places to find me or firmlystudio.com. And I would love to like get on a call, either a coffee chat or if you want a tour of what the offer is, that is firmlystudio.com/tour.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that
Thank
we
you.
did this. This has been so much fun.
Thank you so much.
So, and that's it for this episode of Around the Ladder. Remember, there's no one right way up. So take your detours, make your moves, keep carving your own path. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend or a colleague who's on their own conventional journey too. See you next time.